All right.
Yes.
It was planned.
Yes. Zero planning went into this. This was I am at the end of a very long day. My brain is tired. I want some ice cream.
Hi there. Welcome to the 6th Instep. Because at the end of a long turn, it's nice to just sit back, relax, and enjoy a drink. Ashley just finished a grueling CEDH tournament today, and so she picked the drink. Ashley, do you want to tell us what we're drinking today?
Yes. I had, I wanted ice cream. And so this is my favorite ice cream. I started with that. This is salty chocolate ice cream from Mother Moose Creamery. It's like a great handmade ice cream place that's out in Sierra Madre. Jake has his favorite ice cream because I said I'm having ice cream, so you need it too. And then I also wanted ice cream in drink form. So this is a cold brew liqueur, a bit of chocolate liqueur with some milk and a mint leaf because it tastes like ice cream. So this is what I'm having today, Jake.
Excellent.
Yes.
Sounds like quite the occasion. And to be clear, the reason why I'm not having a Mother Moose Creamery ice cream is because I already finished mine. They do have an excellent cherry ice cream that I quite enjoy.
It's so good. But they also are like an hour drive to
Yeah,
go
they're a
get
little
ice
far
cream?
away from us. So Ben & Jerry's is what we got, and that's what we're rolling with.
Mm.
But today we're going to be talking about CEDH, and we're going to be enjoying some sweet treats.
Mm-hmm. I should also say I melted peanut butter and put it in there, which is my favorite way to eat ice cream. Because if you do that, the peanut butter hardens. So if you take peanut butter, put it in the microwave for between 10 and 30 seconds, pour it over ice cream, it hardens into kind of like what you would get from like a chocolate shell.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really great combination of like textures and flavors. So highly recommend if you like peanut butter and ice cream and have flavors that would go with peanut butter, try it. So good.
Secrets of the trade.
What are we talking about today, Jake?
Well, today we're talking about CEDH.
Ah, yes, that's
So-
all I've been talking about today.
I think it would be fun to kind of start with your experience, because I think this is your first sizable CEDH tournament. You've played in a couple like 16, 24 person, but today it was a 64 person tournament at Lost Levels. It was a really cool event and a ton of people
really
showed
cool.
up. Mm-hmm. Fairly high profile too. It ended up being a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I didn't get to play this time. I had a kid's birthday party that I had to go to, which was just as fun, I assure you.
He's saying that like he doesn't get to play in tournaments. So what happened is he recently competed in a tournament called Fishbowl?
Yeah, it was the sixth Fishbowl in San
the
Diego.
sixth Fishbowl tournament in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And he got to go to that tournament and I stayed home and watched the kids. So really what happened is we're trading off and taking turns so that we both get to play in tournaments.
This is payback.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, y'all. He gets to play Magic too.
I do.
When
I even occasionally win.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
very often.
Okay. Okay, but yeah, so today we're talking about tournaments. I think one of the first questions that we have is like, if we're gonna play in a tournament, how do you find that tournament?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I am a bad person to answer that question because I am married to you. And what that means is I am a passenger princess when it comes to tournaments. I don't know when they're happening. I know nothing about them. Jake says, there is a tournament happening. And I say, ooh, please sign me up. And then he does. And it's great. So I find out about tournaments basically from you or from members of our local game store, which is how I actually found out about this tournament. How do you find out about tournaments?
So I'd actually point to something that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking for tournaments, ask around at your local game store. Because there's a lot of kind of community-driven events and community-driven cube nights and tournaments that aren't officially hosted by anybody. They can be a ton of fun and get you tied into that local community.
That's very true, yeah.
But if you are just starting from scratch, want to branch out and are looking for something competitive, for CEDH, Topdeck.gg is a pretty good platform for that, and there's a ton of tournaments listed on it. Most of them are Magic, but I've seen a few Yu-Gi-Oh! And Riftbound stuff popping up, so they host a whole bunch of stuff. And it's a good way to track things by distance from you, find what's local, find how many people are signing up for these things, and you can also use that same website to see what decks other people are playing at other tournaments and kind of get a feel for what the metagame looks like.
It's very true. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Aside from that, there's also a lot of, again, community-driven things. So ask your local game store itself. See if they want to host an event. There's plenty of people that are probably looking to jump into a tournament like that. And so you can kind of craft your own if you don't find something that you're really interested in that exists.
Yeah, that's very true. I think something also for me, I know this was also your experience too, is I got to participate in this tournament kind of with a home field advantage, we say jokingly, because like not really a home field advantage. But I did like know the people that were there. And like when I got frustrated, there were other people who were there who were cheering me on. And it just made the experience so much more fun because even though I didn't necessarily know everybody that I was playing with, I still felt like I was in an environment with friends, which made it so much easier for me to like stay calm. I didn't feel like I had to like prove myself in the same way I would if I was going out into like a tournament with strangers.
Yeah, and
like
that comfort level is extremely important because it can be really intimidating to walk into a new space and then have to compete. And then between rounds, you're just kind of sitting there waiting for the next one to show up.
Yeah, or running for the bathroom when you have like 5 minutes. And you're like, where's the bathroom? What's the code? How do I get... Like, I knew all that, so I did not have to search. But there were definitely people who were like, how do I get there? What's the code? Etc. So, like, that's there's a little bit of home field advantage.
Yeah. You already know what color the tablecloths are, so there's no shock there. You know, all that important stuff.
You know where all the vents are, so you can, like, position yourself out from under them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, it's really fun to have that community, and I think that's one of the things that these tournaments do really well is build a group of people that are all kind of interested in the same thing. Because showing up to a random commander night, you can have weird mismatches of power level, and you don't really have that with CEDH in the same way.
Sorry, there will be chocolate all over me by the end of this. I have no shame, and I'm fine with it. As you can tell, I'm in tired mode tonight. We're going no makeup. I have not done my hair, nothing. Like, I am just... I came from the tournament, we had dinner, and I sat down to talk about it. So, y'all, my brain is fried. Please forgive me. Or don't. I don't care. I don't need your permission. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But no, yeah, I agree with you. Just in general. Yeah. That's all I had to say about that.
I'm in the middle of a bite.
Sorry.
Do we want to get into some of the games and you can talk through kind of how your event went?
Well, I think the first step to getting into a tournament is tournament prep and kind of what that looks like. So maybe let's start off with like what we did to prep for tournaments.
Yeah, what did you do? Because I think yours looks a little different than what I did.
Yeah, so I played, so I guess first we should talk about decks. So I played Sisay Weatherlight Captain. And I have the super cool Secret Lair. Thank you so much, my love, for giving this to me. Buttercup from the Princess Bride Secret Lair. So stoked about this. And originally I picked this deck, over 2 years ago now?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, when I was
Early
getting
24.
into CEDH. Earlier than that.
Was it?
Yeah, because we went to our first... I was practicing this at the MagicCon after Magic 30.
You're right.
So
it's 2022, so it was like late 2022, early 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I built this late 2022, and the reason is because my mono black deck that I played a lot felt like a toolbox.
Yes.
And I love that play style. And so in CEDH, I wanted a deck that felt like a toolbox. And in looking at what we had, this to me felt the most toolboxy. My mono black deck has something kind of similar with Razakath, where I do like my Razakath search line with Reassembling Skeleton and Crick for mana.
Yeah.
And so like that combination of things is very much of the same vibe as Sisay, right? Like I feel like I have a lot of really good access to basically my entire deck. And then I can fill this up with like toolboxy pieces that allow me to do things. So that's why I initially picked this deck, and I was running it with like the Planeswalker lines before, and I've noticed that it just felt really slow the last couple times I played it.
A lot of dead cards in hand,
so many dead cards in hand. It just didn't feel like I was moving my game forward, and it felt very much like people were moving towards turbo decks in our local meta.
Yes.
I don't know if that's true across the board. It feels like it kind of is a little bit.
It comes and goes.
Yeah.
Right now, it's definitely
like
turbo decks are
pace.
winning.
Yeah.
But I think that's also the nature of the way tournaments are structured. Because the decks that are going to win are the decks that get lucky 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
So it's better to throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and hope you high roll all 5 games.
Yeah.
rather than playing those super stable, consistent control decks.
It's true. Also, it speaks to time, because you have limited time in tournaments,
Absolutely.
which is very different.
Yeah.
So we could talk about that later. But yeah, so when I was prepping this, I was looking for something that would help me go a little bit faster. So Jake and I kind of trolled recent tournaments to kind of see what people were playing as Sisay and what was doing well and kind of winning.
Yeah.
And then from there, I think we kind of found a list that we were like really interested in, and then took some things out of that list and put some things from my initial deck back into play that felt very much aligned with my play style that I didn't want to lose from the deck.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of modern versions of Sisay that people are building towards, and it's diverged because that Planeswalker combo is no longer the preeminent method.
No, but I did see it today in the tournament,
yeah,
and I was very excited. And
they still win. Yeah, it's still good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it just has a lot of dead cards in the deck.
It does.
So if you are willing to mulligan aggressively to keep all that stuff out of your hand and keep only good stuff, you know, it can still get there.
And he did. He mulliganed very aggressively.
Oh, you have to, yeah. But the other way is more of like a 5-color soup type thing, like the 5-color Terras, like your 5-color everything. All of those decks run Thoracle combo, they run Grinding Station or Underworld Breach or all of that kind of junk.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, more the direction we went.
Yeah, I run the Thassus now. Yep. I run the Breach combo. Mm-hmm. I run the Scatter, what's it called?
Oh, Chatterfang?
Chatterfang, the Squirrel combo.
Yep.
And those were all new to me.
Yeah.
So like we put those in, and we did this like a week ago. Which I would not recommend.
No, absolutely not.
Because Sisay's a hard deck to play.
Yeah.
And so put those in about a week ago, and then we started off, and I just started practicing mulliganing. Mm-hmm. And looking at my first hand, seeing like, do I keep this? And then thinking like, if I mulled down to 6, what are things I need in hand to make it effective still?
Yeah.
If I have to mold a 5, what are things I need in hand still to make it effective? And to be honest, like I don't think I ever really want to go past 5. That's a bad day.
Yeah, it's always bad if you're mulling to 4.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to, and I think one of the really important things in testing a deck and testing hands is recognizing when you need to go down to 4.
Yeah.
Because keeping a shaky 5 that doesn't have action for the first 3 turns is pretty much always a loss.
Yeah.
And then you're just politicking for a draw.
Or doesn't have any kind of control.
Yeah, you can't impact the game.
Yeah, at that point, if you have enough control, you might be able to claw your way back in.
Sure.
If you have the mana
if you're on like
to
turn 1
into
Mystic
something.
Remora or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, wow, my brain just stopped working. 1 white.
Esper Sentinel?
Esper Sentinel.
Yeah.
Or some sort of like treasure maker. So like if you can get to like Lotho.
Turn 1 Ragavan, just start ripping cards off the top. Yeah.
So like if you have some way to like still move forwards and control, that's like when you're doing okay. But like if you don't have either of those things, it's going to be a bad day for you.
The way I look at like an opening hand, if I'm going for 7, I'm looking for some sort of interaction.
Yes.
Some variant of a combo piece or way to get to it.
Yep.
And then some sort of mana acceleration.
100%, yeah.
If I'm mulling to 6, I'll cut one of those. Whether that's interaction in mana or interaction in combo piece, I need some combination of those factors. If I'm going to 5 or 4, like I just want mana. Or I just want draw. I need something that is explosive. Because that's the only way that you can actually get back into the game.
Or just have the full combo in your hand and make them have it is sometimes worth it.
But I've also seen games where someone has Thassa's Oracle and Demonic Consultation and never sees their 3rd mana.
No, that's super true.
Which is a nightmare.
I was going to say, I think for me, I don't know if I would drop the mana. Because at some point, if you don't have mana, you are not getting back into the game.
That's true.
It's not. I don't know if I necessarily need mana acceleration, but there needs to be either a solid mana base or a way to get to a solid mana base. Yeah.
But like if I'm going to 4 and I have 2 lands and a mana vault, like that gets me to the Get Rug monster, and that's enough.
Yeah.
So there are hands that I keep that are just pure mana, even without mana acceleration. If I have something that gets something else going on, forward momentum in the gameplay, that whole deal. But yeah, so the way that you went through that 2 weeks ago, retooling your deck, completely relearning the lines, I took the opposite approach, and I'm actually running a fairly suboptimal Gitrog list, but it's the one that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of the new toys. I'm not trying to do anything super weird or inventive. I think the strangest thing that I include here is Polluted Cistern.
Yeah.
And then I actually went back to a couple older things that I'd removed just because they're a little slow. But kind of playing on the
That you
idea that
feel
I'm going to be
comfortable with
up against some control decks. I think I can use that to my advantage. And so going back to some of those old tools, going back to the Planeswalker version of Sisay can sometimes be a real benefit if you're super comfortable with that list.
It's true.
Especially if you're going into unfamiliar territory.
Yeah, I think that I do regret pulling a couple of cards. So like what's it called? Urtai Resurrected, the counter spell in ETB. I needed that a couple times.
Yeah.
And I really regretted not having it.
That's true.
Like that's actually probably one of the biggest regrets that I have. I don't think I really regret pulling anything else out at this point.
Yeah.
One thing that I will say, so for prep, I started with that, started practicing mulligans. We played a couple games, and then what's it called? Fishbowled? I fishbowled, where I played against
Goldfish,
myself.
usually.
Goldfish,
Yeah.
I always mix those two up.
Yeah.
And then the tournament recently has not
I
been
know,
helping.
it's not helping.
Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, and so then I like goldfish with myself for a bit. We played a couple of times during the week, and then also on Friday, during Friday Night Magic, I found like a pod of people who I trusted, jammed a couple of games with them, and asked so many questions.
Yeah, and if you're going to do that, the best thing you can do is after the game,
just
walk back through it. Lay all your permanents out of your graveyard back into play and say, okay, how would you have played turn 3? What else did you have in your hand that could have interacted with this? What should I have done differently? And then provide feedback as well. Say, ooh, if you'd have actually held on to that mental misstep, you could have got me on turn 3 when I tried to do Dark Ritual.
Yeah.
Like, things like that.
Totally. And I think, shout out to Justin at Lost Levels, because we played a game, and then after the game, he sat with me and like let me walk through my thing. And then I also showed him the combo lines that I added that I wasn't super familiar with, and just walked through them while he was watching me. And doing that, I think, really helped me today.
Yeah.
Because so of the combo lines that I had put into the deck, the ones that I drew in the games this week to actually practice playing were I don't even think I got squirrels off.
Before?
Against you.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So
I wouldn't allow that to happen.
Yeah. So I actually didn't get to practice any of the new combos that I put into this deck at all in actual gameplay this week prior to the tournament today, which is a mistake. But
that's fair.
Yeah, you should make sure you practice those. But yeah, so that's kind of what my tournament prep looked like. I think again next time, I would build my deck much sooner. However, I do think that my deck was very suited for the meta environment that I was in today, and I do credit with like doing this recently. So that's kind of nice, I guess.
Yeah,
but
I think that I would also throw out there is if you're looking to get into CEDH, it's a really good way to do it, just to take a deck that you already enjoy, a strategy or an archetype that you want to kind of escalate to the max as your CEDH deck.
Yeah.
Because there's a wide variety of different decks that do different things. And then just get on, Topdeck GG, EDH Top 16, any of these websites that catalog a bunch of deck lists, and find a commander that kind of works for you that already has consistent showing competitively, and then just build that deck verbatim. Proxy the whole thing out top to bottom and just get a feel for how it plays. Don't make any changes to it. If you notice shortcomings as you play against people and as you start to understand how CEDH functions, then you can tinker with it a little bit, but just plagiarize. Plagiarize your first deck 100%.
Yeah. And I think that's important because it also prevents situations from happening where maybe in your local game store, if you don't play a lot of CEDH, there's a commander that's running away with it. And so you think that might be good enough for CEDH, but then you show up to an actual CEDH tournament and you're really outclassed, which is something that's happened before.
The tournament today, one player was on Kalia and made the top 4. Another was playing, what are the other 2011 commanders? I saw Zur the Enchanter. I saw, was it Jardin and Hazaret? these really out there commanders, and they all performed pretty well. The winner of the tournament was Noctis, which I don't think I've seen put up numbers really anywhere. It was amazing.
I love that so much.
Just
for them,
absolutely
by the way,
incredible.
I'm so excited.
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
no, it's crazy.
That's great.
Super cool. But yeah, you had another thought on
No, I was
playtesting
just
and
saying,
kind of prepping.
yeah. So like, if you're doing this, maybe you can make your pet commander good, but at the same time, like, I just would really caution you. Just because it's your pet commander does not make it a CEDH commander. So,
And just because someone has a Moxfield list that has your commander's name, CEDH, does not mean that's a CEDH
no,
deck.
and or at least not a current CEDH deck,
That's
because
true,
I
yeah.
think that maybe there were things that used to be CEDH that are no longer really CEDH based on like bans or stuff like
Okay,
that.
Scion
too.
of the Ur-Dragon is totally viable. I will die on this hill. You just need to float 10 mana.
I would love to see you do that in the next tournament. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to say is like, yes, to an extent, find something that you love, but also just make sure that you're also actually looking at tournament results to see like, does this list show up anywhere? And question mark, am I good enough to build a CEDH deck that nobody else has ever built before? Because maybe you are, I don't know. But I'd say most people are not.
I know I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not.
I definitely start with a skeleton and then make poor choices to make the deck worse but more fun. That's my strategy for CEDH.
Same.
I don't know that I'd recommend it,
Yeah.
but I enjoy
so-
playing the game.
Anyway, so that's what my prep looks like. Do you want to talk through what your prep for the Fishbowl tournament looked like?
Yeah, sure. So I was playing Gitrog Monster, and just a little bit of history on this deck. I actually built this out of a Glissa the Trader artifact recursion deck. And my LGS at the time was hosting a commander tournament with real prizes on the line. I think it was from the Vault lore. So I decided that it was time to take the training wheels off and build something actually powerful. So I threw together Gitrog. It's a really tight linear combo, which is something that I really enjoy playing.
Yeah.
And so initially the deck was just as fast as you can, get the 3 pieces you need into play, and then start discarding and drawing your whole deck.
Yeah.
The problem is if any part of that is interrupted, at least sufficient number of times, you're completely out of the game. So my latest revision here has a couple of other A plus B combos, other ways to interact with that, and Gitrog is unabashedly a turbo deck.
100%.
I have like 2 pieces of interaction in the entire thing. It's probably not ideal, but
You're also in black-green, so the interaction is like kind of interesting anyway.
yeah, my goal is basically just to protect my own combos. So I have like Autumn's Veil and Summer's Veil, Veil of Summer, Veil of Autumn, and a couple of other things like that. I have a decent amount of removal just because I need answers to my opponents doing things.
Totally.
And then I have like a Chains of Mephistopheles, which is kind of a control piece, but also I can use that as a discard outlet and a draw outlet in my deck.
I will also say I feel like Chains is a little bit of a pet card for you.
I love Chains.
I'm sorry. Like,
Oh,
I've
it's
heard him
so
talk
annoying.
so much about this card.
Also,
So,
the fact that it's basically a flow chart to play it properly.
He loves it.
It's not actually that complicated, but it's super wordy. It seems like you could write one sentence and then just in parentheses, it just works.
Yeah.
It's one of those types of cards.
Are you Johnny Combo? Would you call yourself a Johnny
100%.
Combo
I
player?
love combo decks.
Okay, because
Absolutely.
it's so funny because, I think of him as that.
Every single time I see a card that's like sacrifice a thing to do a thing, it's like this goes infinite with something.
Yeah.
I know it.
He's like, synergies!
Yeah. So
Like,
that's
constant.
that's basically how I built my deck. But what that means is that in testing, essentially I just goldfish. I don't need opponents. I just need to track how fast I can get my stuff going and identify which hands are keepable and which hands are not. So even if it's not like mulliganing down, although that's really good practice, just draw a hand and say, okay, with the 7 that I drew, how low can I go on this and still have it be functional? Can I mold a 4 on this 7?
Yeah.
Can I mold a 5? Just to get a feel for what the thresholds are for when you need to be satisfied with the hand that you have.
Yeah, and I would be very clear with that. The reason you don't need an opponent in the same way is you don't have to prep for interaction in the same way.
Correct.
Whereas a lot of the stuff that I have is control because my deck's a little bit slower, not really a turbo deck in the same way. So I need to hold the game so that it goes longer.
Yeah.
Every game that I've ever won in a tournament has gone to time with this deck. It's just straight up how it is.
Yep.
So, yeah, this is a slower deck.
I have not had that experience.
No.
The games that I win are usually on turn 4. I
Yeah.
put things into play and say, does anyone have a force of will? Because if you don't, I'm winning off of creatures, and all the rest of that interaction you packed isn't going to do anything.
It's true.
And that's one of the big weaknesses in control decks right now, is a lot of them are counter-target non-creature spell.
Yeah.
Or counter-target instant or sorcery. So if you're casting creatures, you're generally safe.
Yeah, the funny thing I will say about this deck, though, is I feel like I have some alternative ways of interacting with you, which have really helped me in the past that aren't really counterspells. So, like Agatha's Soul Cauldron.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah. What's it called?
Anyone who plays it is a monster.
Me, I'm a monster. Hello, hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
Yes.
No, but yeah. So like what's it called? The 1 mana cost guy, either black, green.
Deathrite is a problem, but less of a problem most of the time.
It's only a problem because I can exile your lands.
Mm-hmm.
And that matters in your deck when you're trying to be able to like do things with that, especially if you're trying to like bring them back to hand so that you can then discard and use the ability again.
Yeah, it slows it down a little bit. Usually the interaction on that is Deathrite taps to remove the card that I just discarded.
Yeah.
In response, I discard a second land and keep going as normal.
Sure, and then it's kind of, I have 1 mana floating, so there's something where like maybe I might be able to do something.
Oh, there's definitely lines, but the fact that Agatha's is every turn remove 1 of anything, it
Yeah.
removes every dredger, it removes every just general interactive card in the graveyard, it gets rid of Nature's Rhythm or anything that I can cast from the graveyard.
I think if you're not running Agatha's in Buttercup, I'm sorry, I say Buttercup because it's the thing. If you're not running Agatha's in Sisay, you're doing it wrong at this point. Because it also gives you the +1/+1 for removing creatures and then putting them on Buttercup. And so many people are running creatures that activate to produce mana. Being able to put that onto Buttercup is excellent.
Oh, I think it goes in a lot of things. Right now, a lot of people are running Mana Dorks for most of their decks.
Yeah.
And just the ability to put that Llanowar Elf ability on any of your creatures, if you have like Badger Mole Cub as well, you accelerate so fast.
Yeah.
It's a really good card to have. If you have the space for it, Agatha's Soul Cauldron is just solid.
It's true. So sorry, you were talking about prepping, and you talked about how like you didn't necessarily need an opponent in the same way that I needed an opponent.
To be fair, it's really helpful to play against real people and get your reps in real games. But for a strict combo deck like this, for a linear, turbo deck, if you're running anything with Dargo, if you're running some sort of like the Noctis combo, make sure that you've practiced it on your own, that you know the different lines, especially these non-linear lines that aren't just A plus B equals win. Get those under your belt, and then once you kind of know which lines you can take, then take it to a table with other people to find out where you have major hurdles, where your opponents can throw up a Torpor Orb and completely ruin your day.
Totally. Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically my prep. Whenever I make any changes to the deck, I'll play like 4 games in a row, make sure I didn't break anything, and then bring it to a Friday Night Magic when there's going to be CEDH tables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. That's kind of... I should have done that, I think, is I should have practiced running through my combo lines a little bit better.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a curated hand in the beginning, just so I can practice seeing those things in my hand, I think would have been a good call.
Yeah. It's also, it's helpful to do the reverse, where you draw a 7 and you're like, woo, this is bad. Play it out. See how many turns it takes you to get back into the game.
Yeah.
See if there's like, oh, actually, I can combine these cards in a weird way that actually get me to 6 mana. I have to lose my whole hand to do it, but that, or maybe, turn 1 Necro gets us most of the way there.
Totally.
Whatever. There's other things that you can test for other than the regular lines.
Absolutely. Yeah, so then my question for you, so now we've decided on our decks, we've found out where the tournament is, we've prepped, we show up. For you, what was the vibe when you arrived in your tournament? So like, I'm asking you generally kind of what was your experience like, but less about the actual gameplay and more what was your experience with people? Because I think that's like a huge part of what makes playing Magic fun is, are you playing with people who make your experience fun? Is this something where this is a joyful experience for everybody, or are people there and they're just like, they do not care about you? So like, what was your experience like?
It was definitely a mix.
Okay.
Fishbowl 6 was huge. There was like 500 people there.
Totally.
And they had vendors, they had a food truck, they had all sorts of stuff there. And the people that showed up were wildly diverse. Some of the people were super chatty. Some people were slamming like multiple Red Bulls at 7 a.m. in the morning. You had people that were just, sitting at the table, head in their hands, staring at, like 2 cards debating something, just ran the gambit.
Yeah.
There were people in full jerseys for like their teams where they all prepped together and flew in from out of state to play in this event. There were people that were really serious about the game. There's also people that are extremely competitive in CEDH.
Yeah.
That are basically solo and super chill and just kind of there to hang out and have a good time, and they just really love the game. I think you see a wide variety of people, and you definitely see some of those different groups as you play at different levels.
Yeah.
So in your local scene, it's probably a little more casual. People are willing to bring fun decks. And when you get up to like full-on invitationals, people are bringing their safest stuff.
Yeah.
The decks they're super comfortable with. And there's this question that gets asked about whether you should play a deck you're super comfortable with or a deck that's performing really well in the metagame. And the real answer is, if you want to win, you have to do both.
Yeah.
You have to be super comfortable playing the meta-relevant decks. But the reality is you do have to kind of make those choices and decide where you want to fall on that scale.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I had a great time there, and the people, I ran into all sorts. Some of the people were very experienced, very serious about the game, and other people were much more casual, kind of pulled their deck box out of a like plastic bag that they just had with them. Like, I don't know.
So valid.
Real chill.
Yeah, no, and I think the big difference is yours had actual prize, like huge prizes on the line.
Yeah,
and
it was a pretty sizable prize pool.
Were going knowing that was the case.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for me, I was going to a charity tournament. Mm-hmm. It was a toy drive for Toys for Tots.
Yep.
And so like one of the requirements for signing up, you pay your entry fee and then you have to bring like a $10 toy unwrapped kind of thing. That's new to donate to the thing. And so it's like really cool, and I love that Steve does that and that Lost Levels does that.
Yeah.
And I love that this tournament did that as well, because I think it was like a collaboration between Lost Levels and
it was BFF.
BFF, yeah. They did a great job.
Yeah.
But
it was excellent.
yeah, so like showing up, it's just like, I'm going to be so honest, I still don't know what the prize was. I obviously didn't win. But we sat down at tables and
Hence
I asked...
the ice cream.
Yeah. Hence the drink and the ice cream. But no, but I sat down at multiple tables and asked like a couple different people what the prize was, and they're like, oh, I don't know, I'm just here to play Magic. So like, I'm sure there was very cool prize support because like Lost Levels, and I'm assuming BFF also does a great job with prize support, but that was very clearly not why people were there.
Yes, that's true.
And so I think it's just a difference in priorities, because like obviously my priority, I'm sorry. Again,
it's been a long day.
I am so brain fried at this point. But my priorities, I just want to play a lot of Magic. I want to have fun with people.
Yeah.
I'm not showing up trying to like blow out the competition. I want to do well. That's like, I'm very competitive as a human, but like I enjoy that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, really, I want to play Magic.
Yeah.
And so I think there's maybe a little bit of a different vibe, because I think you ran at Fishbowl into a couple of people that were like super like logistic focused and like very linear and like calling judges on things where it's just like, okay, come on, man. I did not have that experience. It was like real friendly, even when people called judges. So like,
I will say, I think some of my favorite games at Fishbowl were like games 6 and 7.
Okay.
Where no one had a chance of actually making it to the top
I'm a teacher.
16. Because we were just underpointed for what you'd need to actually make it in. Mm-hmm. And it was just a chill CEDH game. And the conversations were just like, so are we going to like fight for a draw? Because I think one of the things that tends to happen at CEDH games is when the game gets really mucked up and there's a lot of different counterspells on the stack, and it's just like, okay, well, I'm going to have to king make at this point because I can't do two things at once. So why don't we all just take a draw? And usually people will take a draw at that point because everyone gets a point. At that point,
it's just kind of for fun.
And it's kind of a non-deterministic winner, and one person is just going to be intentionally bowing out of the game if that's what happens. Mm-hmm. But in those games, it was like, let's just play it out. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to counter him, and then, if he's got the answer, he's just going to win.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Whatever. And I think that was like a really cool experience to have that competitive level of play.
Yes.
Right? These are all people that made day 2. These are all people with really tuned decks just willing to play it out. I think that's awesome. And it's not super typical in CEDH all the time.
Love the humble brag of the like, I made it to day 2.
It was cool.
It was cool. You deserve to brag. It's very cool. I'm teasing him because I love him, but I am very proud of him. He's He's really good at Magic, and I think it's hot. Anyway, sorry.
You're about to tell me.
Thanks. Yeah, and you think it's hot.
You have a higher win rate than I do right now.
I do.
Go on.
Anyway, we're just gonna make you sit with that for a second. No. Okay, so like, yeah, that was kind of like what the vibe was and what the experience was. I want to jump into gameplay because I need to talk to somebody about my games today. I feel like I had some great games. I feel actually like every game I played today was a great game. I think I had a couple of mistakes that I made that I'm a little bit frustrated by, but I also have some plays that I'm like really proud of.
Yeah.
So I know you have the kind of the same feel with Fishbowl.
Yeah.
So I've got 4 games today, and I want to talk about all 4 of them. Did you want to start, or do you want me to get started?
I have to dredge up memories from a little while ago.
Yeah. Do you want me to start?
It takes me a minute. Yeah, why don't you start with yours?
Okay, I'm going to start with game 1.
That's a good place to start.
It's a very good place to start. Anyway, so game 1, we got set up. I was seat 4, game 1, and I was like, no. And I was also sitting at table 13, so I was like, this is just the most unlucky. But I was hoping by like maybe that combination of things, maybe my luck would be like good. So anyway, we sat down. In 4th seat, I knew that I had to mull kind of aggressively because I needed to make sure that I had interaction. I needed the game to go long, and then I also needed a way to make sure that if the game was going, I had mana to play it.
Yeah.
So I actually mulled to 5, turn 1.
Cool.
And I had...
Did you keep like an actionable hand at 5? Like,
I had
was it pretty
Kinnan.
solid? That's a good start.
I had a way to play Kinnan.
And that's enough.
Yeah. No, I had Kinnan, a way to play Kinnan, and then I had a mental misstep in my hand.
Okay, cool.
And I think I had 3 lands, a Kinnan, and a mental misstep.
That's a pretty decent start.
Yeah, because that also means I get Kinnan, and then I can
and
play
you get Sisay, yeah.
So I have a turn 2 play, a turn 3 play. And so it started the game with that. And then I also drew into, I think, a Force of Will at some point.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, great. So like, I've got this. Unfortunately, I didn't have anything to pitch the Force of Will right away, so that was kind of a bummer. And then I also drew into a Flusterstorm.
Well, you pitch that to a Force of Will.
Yeah, I could pitch that to a Force of Will. But that's not what I did.
No.
So what happened is person on the first seat, the thing that stood out to me is this poor gentleman. He was playing like red turbo, I think. I don't actually remember what all the decks I played against with are. So I remember...
One of them was a Rog Thress. I know that you're up against.
Yeah.
With Rogrek and Thress, yes.
Yeah, red, something red, Rog Thras was seat 2. I don't remember what seat 3 did. He got shut down.
Apparently not very much. Yeah.
Well, yeah. But what I do remember is first player, turn 1, tried to play Mana Vault, and seat 2 mental misstepped the Mana Vault.
Oh, it wasn't even your mental misstep?
No, it was not my mental misstep. It was somebody else's mental misstep.
Oh, no.
And so then we came around the table, got back to my turn. I played out my my thing, got like prepped for my next turn or whatever. And on the end of my turn, he also played, what is it, like a demonic, it's the 1 mana search.
Vamp Tutor.
Yeah, Vamp Tutor. And so I misstepped his Vamp Tutor.
This poor guy.
This poor guy, he had absolutely nothing.
Red Black, so, was he Rog Sai?
Maybe.
Silas?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's amazing. Double mental misstep.
Mental misstep, it was incredible. And he was just like, oh, well, I'm kind of out. And
so you're kicking this guy while he's down.
Kicking this guy while he's down. And I had a, what did I search for? Tropical Island there with my, and I had drawn a Flusterstorm at some point. I don't remember when that happened. Maybe I got the, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so we're going around for the next turn, and the guy next to me also played kind of a value card. Okay. And I Flusterstormed his value card. And
pure control Sisay.
Yeah, I played straight up pure control Sisay. So that happened, and it was great. We actually had to call a judge because Flusterstorm has Storm.
Yeah.
And he misstepped one of the copies, but that meant that one got through and it still got to counter. It was a search.
3 out of 4 of you on mental misstep here. That's beautiful.
He was searching, and I said absolutely not, and flusterstormed it, and he was pretty low on mana. And so it ended up being fine. The judge was awesome. We called him over and was like, how do we rewind this? Because he started searching, and I was like, wait.
You had a great judge today.
So had a great judge. And then sometime later in the game, our first seat was trying to get back into the game and played a Jeska's Will. He had his commander in play at that point, so he chose both. He was making 6 mana, and then was going to be able to, I think, look at the top 3, or exile the top 3, and then play them. And then our second seat had Flare of Duplication. And in response to that, Flare of duplicated that. And so he also had his commander, also could pick 2, was going to be able to make like 6 mana and draw.
2 Jeska's Wills on the stack.
Yeah, so 2 Jeska's Will on the stack. It goes to seat 3, and he was like, no, I have no responses. And it got to me, and our judge was standing right there, and I was like, clarifying. When it says they can play things, that means they can play lands and cast spells. And he was like, that is correct. And I was like, great. Silence. And I felt a tiny bit bad because my control Sisse was just going.
Seat 1, out of the game.
Yeah, seat 1 gone. And so after that happened, there was maybe like 2 or 3 turns that was straight up land pass, which is great for a Sisse player.
Yes.
Because I want all of the lands in play. So that game, our seat 1 ended up getting back into the game. He got a wrist stick into play and was able to draw off enough that he was able to get back in. And so he was going for the win. So seat 1 and 2 actually got into a counter war. And after like 2 or 3 counter spells, they were like, hey, we're going to be out of interaction. Are y'all okay if we call it a draw? And at this point, I was kind of set up. I maybe could have pushed for a win, but I honestly wasn't sure that it was going to get back to me because this was going through 2 other players before it got to my turn.
Yeah, that's tough. That's really risky.
I had no interaction in my hand, and I was pretty close to Hellbent. I had 1 Sisse search, but I didn't have anything to find, and I could only find something mana, I think, or something mana 2 or less, because I think I had like a Ragavan or something in play. And so at that point, we went to draw. So that was my first game.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about any of your games today?
Yeah, I'd actually start with my first game as well, at Fishbowl, because I went into this prepping for all of the top meta contenders. I was ready for TNK, I was ready for Kinnan, we have a TNT, and all sorts of the other like top stuff. I play in Sisse a lot. Yep. I'm very familiar with the top of the leaderboard. I sit down at my first game, and my 3 opponents are playing commanders that I've never seen before.
Oh my gosh.
And 2 of them are familiar. It's Thrasios plus, I think, Krark, maybe? Something weird like that, where it's kind of in color. It's fairly
like
familiar, but it's...
Oh, that's fun.
Which is real sweet. But things like that. And then one player was on Bruce, Tarl, and Kamal, which is a bizarre combination, but both of them are just hyper aggro commanders. So I was like, oh, he's on Stompy. And I was pretty much going in with the mindset like, okay, I'm faster than Stompy.
Yeah.
But the combo decks might cause issues for me, so I just need to like turbo it out. I get prepped to do that. I have a turn 1 mana vault. I'm feeling pretty good about it. But I'm a lands deck, ultimately. And after the first time around the table, he's able to get in Archon of Emeria and Yasharn and all of these like big chunky creatures that are just big enough to cause issues. Make everything come into play tapped. You can't activate certain abilities. You can't cast spells from outside of the game. That's the Draneth Magistrate.
Totally.
And it was just like this weird Staxy creature-based thing that just locked everyone out. I don't think I've seen a CEDH deck combination like that get completely locked out by one player's stacks pieces. Yeah. But it was just excellently executed specific linchpins kind of put in place that lock everything down.
Yeah.
Stony Silence is what shut off my mana vault, so I couldn't do anything with that. It was beautiful.
That's very fun.
Or maybe it was Collector Roof, because it was all creatures.
Sure.
But yeah, so ended up winning, and it was really cool to see something strange like that.
Yeah.
And especially at a big tournament like that where people are going into it, playing for real money on the line, knowing that they're going up against a lot of these very experienced players, and to bring something bizarre that nobody has the tools to interact with.
Totally.
It just really paid off in that round 1, and it was cool to see.
Yeah.
That was like, it was a cool experience going in with this expectation of, all right, it's going to be wall-to-wall meta decks, and then immediately being hit with the bizarre combination of other things. That was a really cool experience. And so I did not perform well. That was absolutely a loss. But I think that you can learn a lot from losses, and I think that can be a really good experience as well. So that was kind of eye-opening for me. And I was like, that was really neat.
Yeah. That's fair. Speaking of losses, my second game, I lost. And I'm a little upset about it, but really, I think that it was ultimately my fault because I miscounted my mana.
Yep.
Somebody else at the table, I think I had 9 mana, and so I had enough to go for the win in my Sisse deck with what I had on the board, because I had a land in hand. It was a dual land, but so I got it all set up, was really excited, and I just, for some reason, forgot that Thalia makes non-basic lands also come into play tapped.
Mm-hmm.
And so it meant that I started off going through kind of my search line, and I had already gone through part 1 of my search and then was like, okay, cool, now I play my land. And they were like, oh, it comes into play tapped. And I was like, no!
Oh, no.
Oh, no! And so at that point, it was too late. I had to pass. And this is actually a game I was playing against another Sisse player. And they went off. And it was really fun to see because they were playing the Planeswalker lines that I took out of this deck.
Yeah. So you were super familiar with
that.
So
I was super familiar with it. So I was watching it and I was like, oh, he's got to do this. And I had to keep myself from talking because I didn't want to talk him through his win.
Ooh, now you get Gaia's Cradle.
Yeah. Because there was a moment where he was thinking and I was like, I know what he needs. But I was like, don't say it, Ashley. But yeah. So it was also really funny. There was somebody else at the table who, I'm a very trusting human. And they just like teased me. They made me walk through like what an Emil combo is, and I was like so shocked. I was like, you're in white and you don't know what an Emil combo is? They did know. It's fine. They were very funny.
That's great.
But yeah, so that was my second game, and I think again I just learned to pay better attention to what's on the table.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about another game? Because I'm happy to talk about my third game.
Sure. So kind of in that same vein of just like miscounting things, I would actually go to my 7th game that I played at the Fishbowl. It was the last one, or it was actually the 5th. It was the last one on the first day. And I had everything I needed mana-wise, but no combo pieces. Yeah. So I was stuck on this just like infinite ramp plan, but I was starting to dig my way out of it. And I had too many, it sounds so stupid. I had too many cards in hand.
Oh, boo-hoo.
And too much mana in play.
My grass is too green. My shower is too comfortable. But my bed is too warm.
My commander had been destroyed twice.
Yeah.
So I'm paying 9 mana to get my commander back into play.
Yeah.
And I had it, but if I do that, I'm cut on what else I can do.
Yeah.
And so afterwards, I was going through it, and I think the right line was to play Squandered Resources for 2 mana, tap all my lands, sack all my lands, get my commander out, have a bunch of mana left over, and then try to combo off from that with no lands in play.
Right.
But it's super risky because if at any point I get hit with silence or I get hit with anything else that interrupts that, I'm out of the game. And so it's that, like, some of those weirder lines that you don't expect where you have to have a really good handle on your math, on exactly how much mana you need to do the lines that you have access to with the cards that you've drawn.
Totally.
And I think I might have been able to squeak it out in that, but ultimately I went a different direction and just started looping Strip Mine to blow up people's lands.
Yeah.
And it just didn't get there, and it ended up locked out in a weird counter battle, and we ended up drawing that game. But it's one of those where if I had been a little bit better prepared, if I took the time to count, and it was still early enough in the timer that I think I probably could have figured out something, but I was just tired. The thing you don't expect about these days is that it's 7 hours of magic, and you just get tired.
And it's not just magic, it's high-level, intense magic where you have to pay attention to everything. Yeah.
Just play braids.
That's what I did the last tournament. I lost almost every game, but I had a great time and nobody else did, so yeah. Yeah, that's super fair. Speaking of getting tired, my third game, I started off really strong. I think I was actually in first seat. So I was like good, ready to go, super stoked about it. And I ended up getting to my Thassa's line, like
Yeah.
turn 3. Like it was pretty early
Oh,
on.
like immediately.
Like
you had it.
immediately
Yeah.
went into Thassa's. Actually had both what's it called? Demonic Consultation and the 2 mana cost one that allows you to like exile
Tainted
until
Pact.
you find
Yeah.
So had both of those in hand. But forgot that Thassa's is double blue, so I couldn't cast both of them in the same turn. I could only cast one of them based like on what my mana was. So played Thassa's, it got to resolve. Played Demonic Consultation, and I think I actually had like a Force of Will in hand. And so somebody countered the Demonic Consultation. I forced that counter, and then somebody else countered on top of that. It might have been like a Flusterstorm, and I just didn't have enough mana at that point because there were too many spells that had been cast.
Right.
And so I had to let it go, so I just got the regular Thassa's draw. And then like either the next turn or the turn afterwards, I was like, okay, I realized I had Breach in hand.
Yeah.
And I also had Search. And so I was like, okay, I can Breach Thassa's and then I can Breach Thassa's because I have the Search that forces you to sack a creature.
Diabolic Intent.
Yeah. And the guy across from me for some reason was like, she's going to bounce it. And I was like, no. No, I'm not. That's not what's going to happen. But he was like going really hard.
Quick, kill it!
Yeah,
and you're like,
also, like,
oh no!
Yeah, everyone had Ristic Studies in play at this point too. So there was 3 draws and he had a Bowmasters. And so he was trying to kill the thing and I was like, oh great, I don't need to find a way to kill it now. So he killed it, and then I realized I drew into the Lion's Eye Diamond, so I actually had the ability to search for Brainstorm.
Brain Freeze.
Brain Freeze, that's what it is. And so I went for Breach Brain Freeze line, but first I went for a Silence.
Oh, this was under Silence too?
So, yeah.
Cool.
So cast Silence. In response, he did his Demonic Consultation, and he named his own Silence so that I wouldn't be able to cast things on top for some reason. I don't know. But so he was...
I mean, that's a decent line.
It is a decent line. So
Cuts
he
you out
went
of the
for
game.
Silence, but Silence ended up being like in his deck box. Like it just, for some reason, when he went to
Like it
pull
didn't
his
get
deck
shuffled
box,
in?
it didn't get shuffled in.
Oh.
So we had to call the judge again, and we basically had to go through that twice, which was frustrating because I lost my momentum. But it was fine. And then he ended up not even playing the Silence that he drew. He played, what's it called?
Angel's Grace.
Angel's Grace, which is split second, so I didn't have a chance to respond.
Yep.
Angel's Grace happened. I couldn't stop it. And then I was on Silence. Silence resolved, so now nobody can respond with spells, only like channel abilities, basically. But they were still drawing every spell I cast because they had the Ristic.
Right.
And so I was going through... so I still went through with the Breach line.
Breach line.
I needed to figure out a way to win from that, and I realized I have Fairy Mastermind. But this is one of those combos I had never done before.
Yeah.
And it turns out I forgot that I put it in my deck, so even when I was practicing the combos that I had in my deck, I didn't practice this combo at all.
Yeah.
And so
It's bad too because there's Ristic Studies, so you can't just be like, I do this 100 times.
Yeah, and so I actually did it until I found the, what's it called? Whenever somebody draws, make a treasure token. So I played that.
Smothering Tithe.
I played Smothering Tithe, and they were like, oh, we're going to stop drawing because you have the Tithe, because then you make the mana for it, and it's great.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun and cool. But this tournament rules were a little bit different than other tournament rules that I had played, and so this was an issue on my part. I didn't understand how their end of turn happened.
Right.
I thought, because I had played in other tournaments and I'd seen like on the official Magic rules, it's what happens is that player finishes the turn, and then there are 4 or 5 turns?
It's usually once around the table.
And then it's once around the table.
Yeah.
So I thought that there were going to be additional turns even though we went to time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so my plan is finish the thing, or finish this cycle, mill everybody out, and then on next player's upkeep, pay mana using the Lion's Eye Diamond, and I had a Lotus Petal to activate Fairy Mastermind's ability to force everybody to draw, and they lose on next player's, untap phase? Upkeep phase? Yeah, upkeep phase. But because the rules were different this time, apparently it was whoever's turn it was got 20 minutes,
Yeah.
and then the game was over. So there was no additional
There is no
turns
next
afterwards.
turn. Right.
So I'm frustrated because if I had known that, I would have demonstrated my loop, gone through it much faster, and then just shown the gone through the loop past before we got to time.
Yeah.
And forced the draw. But because I didn't know it, and because I hadn't gone through this before, and because I thought there was an extra turn after this one, I misplayed.
Yeah,
And it meant
that's
that
rough.
even though I had the win demonstrated on the table, because the next player didn't get an upkeep according to tournament rules,
Right.
I didn't win. So I had a draw, even though casual, I definitely won.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's how it goes
I'm
sometimes.
still a little mad about that.
That's fair.
Yeah. But it is how it goes. Yeah. Did you want to talk about any of your other games? I know we don't have a ton of time left.
Well, I would say the one game that I ended up winning at Fishbowl was
Yeah.
kind of funny. I ended up at a table with 4 turbo decks where nobody had interaction.
Yeah.
And everyone was just trying to jam. And it was a really funny exercise in a bunch of people triggering stuff, but not drawing into anything useful.
Totally.
So as I'm going through my combo, the person next to me is drawing card after card after card after card after card. And so I have to manually execute the Get Rog combo. I can't just say, I loop this a million times. So I'm drawing through my deck and triggering that off, and the other 2 people are just sitting there with their hands in their lap, just kind of twiddling their thumbs because there's no way they can interact. And it was the least CEDH game.
Oh, I feel that.
Eventually, I drew into something that I could use to remove his enchantment that was allowing him to draw, and then I could continue with my combo unabated, and then I could define a loop and just burn through the rest of it.
Totally.
And close it out really quickly. But when you end up in those situations where you have to trigger it one thing at a time,
Yeah.
so much of the game is built on these infinite loops because you can't deal 120 damage to your opponents easily.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to do this kind of infinite dance or instant wins with Thossas.
Totally.
Yeah, so sometimes you end up in those stupid situations and they just take forever unnecessarily.
Totally.
But that's part of the game.
Yeah.
And it stinks when that happens.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. My one win in the tournament was kind of also a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So my game 4, I actually kept my first draw. In my first draw, I had Worn Soul Trader.
Good start, yeah?
And no, actually that's not true. I had Chatterfang.
Oh, the other half.
And Demonic Tutor. And 2 counter spells. I had the what was it? Fierce Guardianship and Mental Misstep.
Okay, cool.
And so I figured this is turn 2, search for Worn Soul Trader. Turn 3, play Sisay. Turn 4, play Chatterfang and Worn Soul Trader. But I did it in the opposite way.
However they come in.
Yeah. So I did Worn Soul Trader first because I figured I wanted to be able to sack creatures for mana more than I wanted to be able to like make things.
Yeah, and then
so
you can
if
sack
they're gonna
Sisay
let one
to start
resolve,
it.
yeah, exactly. And so I played Worn Soul Trader. They let it resolve. I think it was actually the next turn that I played Chatterfang.
Yeah.
And we got into a counter war, and it was really fun because they what's it called? Discard a blue to play.
Oh, some sort of like Force of Negation or Force of Will, something like that?
Yeah, so they played Force of Will, and I used Breach to counter that. And then somebody else played a Redirect, 1 mana red Redirect. And so
Redirect Lightning, the new one.
Redirect
That's awesome.
Lightning, so I was able to mental misstep that. And then frickin' Howard... He had the final counterspell, so I had to let the Chatterfang resolve.
Cut you off of that line.
And it really stunk because at that point I had no interaction and I didn't really have anything
like
else.
out of
I was
stuff.
like, dang, I thought I had it.
Yeah.
And at that point there had also been a counter war the turn before, so I was like, nobody has things, but I was so wrong. Everybody had things. Everyone was in like
really
blue.
funny.
I was like, no.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is we were going around and what is it, Kinnan, the blue-green commander? There was somebody who was playing a Kinnan deck. And they had such a clean line, but the turn before I was able to, I Ragavand the monkey. What's the monkey?
Yeah, Ragavan.
I Ragavand Howard, and he let me hit, and I made a copy of the One Ring, on enters the battlefield.
Oh,
and so they
that's
couldn't
so good.
win through the one ring.
Yeah.
And so then they were coming up to time, and I felt a little bit like a jerk, but I was like, I need you to demonstrate you have the win in your deck over the one ring. Otherwise, you need to pass the turn because I have the win on my turn.
Yeah.
And the
That's
judge
fair,
was
though.
standing right there.
Yeah.
And so they pushed so that I could do this. So I think that maybe if the Kinnan player had more time, they might have been able to find the win, but realistically, they were out of time and they had been sitting there looking at their cards for a little bit.
Kinnan win through the one ring is some sort of fairy mastermind loop, I think.
I think so.
I think it gets
It's
really
gotta be.
dirty, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's how you get
It's
it.
got to be. So anyway, I pushed through for that, and what I ended up doing, which is even meaner, is the Kinnan player had Bloom Tender in their graveyard. And I searched for Agatha's Soul Cauldron on their turn, exiling the Bloom Tender, targeting Sisay. So Sisay started with the additional thing and Bloom Tender's ability and could tap for 5 immediately.
Nice.
And so then that
So
started
you're tapping
my
Sisay to activate Sisay.
Yeah. So
I
then
love
I
it.
went through my Sisay search line
Uh-huh.
using Sisay as the win. And the Kinnan player actually had a really great counter target ability. So when I searched for Derevi to untap Sisay, they what's it called? They canceled that ability.
It's Stifle. Something
Yeah, they
did
stifled
that,
the
yeah.
ability. And so I had enough mana to still search for Deadpool. And so Deadpool came in as a copy of
Derevi.
Derevi. And then later I was able to bounce Derevi again
Yes.
to keep the
Nice.
line going. So I was able to win through that. It was very stressful. My ending win was the Emil plus Derevi plus like Sisay bounce
Into like Mount Doom or something like
into
that.
Mount Doom
Yeah.
for the untap infinite mana essentially.
Yeah.
It was very stressful, and I felt like I was going to throw up afterwards.
But you got
But
your
I
win.
got my one win. Yeah,
That's
ended up,
awesome.
I think I placed like 19th or 8th. I tied at 7 points with like 7 other people.
Yeah.
But then based on like the wins of my opponents,
was
I ended up like
Tiebreakers into the top 16.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
3 of the 7 points made top 16.
Yeah, so super bummer, but like,
Yeah.
what a great way to end the tournament.
That's
it was so
awesome,
much fun.
yeah.
And that table was like so great because I was really upset after the previous game. I was like so mad and stressed that I
Yeah.
was like struggling not to cry. Not because of anything anyone did, just because I was so frustrated because I
Sure.
thought I had it.
It's hard because also you're putting so much energy into like
So much
thinking
energy
it through
and pressure,
and then
I was
just
like,
have to like cut
I
off.
have it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fine. It ended up being okay. I had a great time in the tournament. I know
Mm-hmm.
we're coming to the end, but like we're talking about 2 tournaments here, so I'm gonna like we've gone to time now. No, we're not going to take all this. But we've gotten to time now. We're going with what we did today. So
Okay.
we're going to talk a little bit
Okay.
longer. And really, I just want to move to kind of our takeaways from the tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be takeaways from games that you learned about like what you would do differently next time. Takeaways from tournaments for like how you would prep or what kind of tournaments you enjoy or would be in.
Yeah.
Or like if you were to suggest something for tournaments, what would you suggest and why, etc.
For like the way they run it or the way that you should approach going to
Yeah,
tournaments?
both and. It's kind of your general takeaways. What are your general takeaways?
All right. I guess my big thing with bringing a deck that you're really comfortable with into an unknown tournament is kind of just trust the things that you learned along the way.
Yeah,
I feel like I get really jumpy
sure.
when I go into a tournament like that. And it's just like, oh no, I have most of what I need. I'm just going to go for it and hope I draw into something useful.
Yeah.
And then you walk face first into a counterspell and you're like, well, I used the only card I had. Probably should have waited and just like
Yeah,
drawn the next turn and see if I get into something a little bit more helpful.
I agree.
Go
But I
for it
also
then.
think there is some level of like make them have it.
But if you have it,
Yeah.
like the piecewise thing, if you're playing a combo deck where you only
Totally.
have parts of it,
Yeah.
if you only have Warren Soul Trader, just running that out there with no protection, you just go, maybe it'll survive long enough to find the other
It's true, but I
pieces.
gotta say, Warren Soul Trader won me that game.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like even I didn't use it for the combo. I used it to sacrifice other creatures for mana so that I could get enough to
Yeah.
get Emil into play and activate it the first time.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah.
I'd say the other big takeaway from Fishbowl was the way conversations work in CEDH. I think
Yeah.
is really different than when you're playing casually.
Totally.
There's a lot of talk about what decks do, And sometimes when you're the person trying to do things and the other three people are all conspiring against you, like, okay, well, I can stifle that ability, but that doesn't turn off this other thing that they're going to try to do. So I need someone else to put up a force of will, and then I'll do that. And then if you do the force of will...
Well, yeah, totally. What was crazy to me today is there were multiple games that we were playing where somebody showed somebody else their hand to convince them to let them do the thing.
Yeah, where you're like, no, I don't have anything. Look, here's my whole hand.
Yeah, and it was like, I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Actually crazy. Like, in the first game, player 1 showed that he had, like, 2 more counter spells and was like, we can continue in this counterspell war, or we can do a draw. And everyone was like, draw. Because we weren't sure if anybody else had counter spells. So we were like, but I don't want to show my hand because I can't be like, oh, he's got the 2. So yeah, I see it. But yeah, there's definitely more like hand showing, which I thought was crazy, than like in a casual
I've seen people
game.
like hand their hand to someone else and like exchange across the table to be like, okay.
I feel like that shouldn't be legal. You should be able to tell people. You shouldn't be able to show people.
Well, there's a lot of aspects of CEDH that are like, technically it's not against the rules.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, that is also a big takeaway, is like rethinking how I do politicking. Yeah. Because I've talked about this before on your channel, talking about how like I kind of get away with stuff because if you don't know me, I'm just a lady, and a lot of people underestimate that.
It's not a threat.
I'm really nice. And so like when I talk to people, like I'm not talking to people like I know how to play Magic, but I do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, you do.
And so yes. And so a lot of times, like if people don't know me, that's enough politicking that they just don't come for me.
Yeah.
I don't know why that works. I do know why that
You're
works.
like, I have a 5/5 flying. That's all I have in play.
Yeah. This was really funny. Somebody today was like, oh, you're here without your husband? That's so cool. And somebody else was like, why is that cool? And I was like,
yeah.
It was great. So, but like it really, it wins me games. Legitimately wins me games. They just let me get away with stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to kind of play this quietly and you're not paying attention, but I've said it out loud.
Yeah.
I think one of my big takeaways, if you don't understand something, clarify.
Yeah.
Because in the very beginning, they kind of said, after thing, you get 20 minutes, and then they move past that. And my understanding of that was like, oh, so like people get to continue playing, but there's like kind normal, of 20 minutes is like your time limit cutoff.
Yeah.
So to like prevent slow play.
I will say I didn't stay for the whole tournament, but I was there for that initial conversation, and that's how I read it as well.
Yeah.
Because I've played a bunch of different TCGs.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, cool.
Turns
they're
after
like
timer
limiting it so it's not like too long, so that there's like an end.
Like there's turns after timer in Magic, in Yu-Gi-Oh, in Pokemon, and Riftbound. And every single game, when time is called, it goes to turns, and some of those are 2 extra turns, some of them are 5 extra turns, but the no extra turns is alien to me.
Yeah, exactly. So if I had taken a second to be like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah,
because I did in my brain, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Okay. Yeah. But I thought it was like 20 minutes for each turn. If I had clarified like I wanted to and been like, Judge, does that mean 20 minutes per each turn? Or is it 20 minutes for all of the turns? Then the judge would have been able to respond and been like, no. Final player gets 20 minutes to finish their turn. And then I would have been like, oh, and I would have played differently. So, like, I think it's really important to clarify. Also, there were multiple times where, like, casual tournament player me was just like, oh, I can just let it go. But then I was like, no, I'm in a CEDH tournament. I'm going to call the judge. And I got multiple calls changed in my favor because the person played it a little bit wrong or misplayed or something happened, and I was able to be like, hey, this is not how you do it. And there was also some times where people at the table, not maliciously, were like, oh, we can probably figure it out at the table. But every time that's happened to me, people are really good at talking me out of the fact that I am a good Magic player. And so for me, I've realized at this point, it's important to just always call a judge. And you can do that nicely. You don't have to be like, judge! But you can be like, actually, you know what? I get where you're coming from, but I would feel more comfortable if we call a judge, so I'm going to call a judge. Yeah.
That's my number one piece of advice for everyone that goes to a tournament is don't be afraid to call a judge.
Yeah.
For everything.
We called a judge literally every game I played because Sisei is hard. And people need help sometimes.
In the first round, there were 3 judge calls within the first 5 minutes of the game, and it was the 3 Sisei players there.
We are a problem. Yeah, so like I think that's probably my biggest takeaway is like call the judge.
Yeah.
Especially if you do it nicely, no one's going to be mad at you, and it's really one of the benefits of playing in a tournament is you do get a judge there to be the arbitrator of things like this.
Yeah.
And it actually makes for better gameplay because then people aren't fighting amongst themselves. They do what the judge says.
Especially in a multiplayer game like this, where you might have one person that's like, this is how the rules work. And the other 3 people go, no, it works the other way. Mm-hmm. For that one person to be able to call a judge and be like, hey, am I right here?
Yeah.
Kind of neutral parties where you're teamed up on.
Totally. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And so I think that's probably my biggest takeaway. My 2 other biggest takeaways are, 1, I need to practice my combo lines first so I can get a little faster. I need to be able to play them quickly.
Yeah.
And also I need to remember to demonstrate loops when I can.
Yes.
Instead of fully playing them out. Mm-hmm. Because I think there were a couple times today where I could have saved myself a lot of time just by demonstrating the loop. And the people at the table would have been okay with that.
Especially when it's something typical.
Yeah, it's typical and I was timed. And so people get it. And for the most part, I think they would have let me just be like, I have demonstrated this loop one time. You can see how this functions. I can now do this however many times and say the number. And then I could have probably won more games just by doing that.
Yeah.
Because I went to time pretty much every game.
Yeah, and technically within the rules of Magic, you can do that. You can define a loop and say, I do this loop that many times.
Yeah.
Your opponent is free to say, I actually stop you after your second time through because that gives me a high enough storm count to do something. Yeah. But you can define those loops and go for it. That is legal within the rules. That is part of the game.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. Yeah. I didn't know that it was actually defined as part of the game.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
That's really cool. So yeah, I would just say loops instead. And then final takeaway / question is, would you play again? My answer is 100%. Yeah. I really like these charity events because I feel like everybody's chill. I don't know if I would necessarily play in Fishbowl. That feels a little bit intimidating to me, but I did really enjoy the location and the people and the game. And I know Steve and I trust him. I trust Lost Levels and I know they run a great tournament. So them alongside BFF did such a good job today. So biggest takeaway, I would play more CEDH, especially with that pairing.
Yeah, I think the only thing that would stop me from playing CEDH is kind of travel expenses or the buy-in expenses.
Yeah.
I don't really want to pay $200 to play in any tournament. I'd rather just buy a card.
Yeah.
You know, like there's things that I want in my deck that are expensive. I'd rather buy those things rather than chance winning more money. I'm not a big gambling person in any respect.
Totally, yeah, and it's definitely one of those things where there's a lot less pressure when the buy-in isn't as much because you're there to play Magic. You don't need to get your money back. Yeah. In the same way.
I definitely prefer the $5 buy-in and maybe the prize is deflecting SWAT or something like that.
I'm literally
that's my jam.
with a pack or a couple packs. I don't need a lot. I just am here to play Magic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. So that's I think. So biggest takeaways, yes, we'd play Magic again. Maybe not pay for a big cost tournament. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that feels good. So I guess we're out of our extra time. I'm going to move to my final end step of the game and go to bed.
Well, I'm going to move to cleanup, but I do have one interesting note on cleanup. Mm-hmm. When Angel's Grace is on the stack, this is super relevant for Gitrog, but actually can be important in
It's true.
too
I
when
learned
this happens.
this today, and I'm so upset by it.
So when you go to cleanup and you discard to hand size, if anything triggers, triggered effects or state-based effects, you gain priority as the active player.
Yes.
So this is after all of your end-of-turn effects fall off. Yeah. Which means your Angel's Grace is no longer active. During that time, if you're able to get to that cleanup phase with 8 cards in hand, one of them being your commander, discard to hand size, your commander, as a state-based effect, moves to the command zone, you gain priority, and if you can do something at instant speed, you can still win the game, because there is no more Angel's Grace.
Yeah, force people to draw a card.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things that you can do. Gitrog is really adept at this because there's a lot of, you can use your cleanup step as a discard outlet to combo off. Mm-hmm. So it's really important there, but other decks can use it. So don't, just make sure that you recognize that if you do have an opportunity. The really easy way to do that is with Necropotence.
Yeah. Because
when you exile things out of your graveyard during cleanup step, as you discard them, that's a triggered effect and you can respond to it. So you can discard cards in response, Born Upon the Wind, go into the full Underworld Breach combo during your cleanup step. It actually, I think it rolls back into the end step, but regardless, it's important to know, and it's super esoteric, weird rules. But
it's very cool. I didn't know that today. Somebody taught me after my game where I was like, no, I have the win.
Yeah, you could have done it.
Except I didn't have Necropotence or a way to discard
you're on like Chain of Vapor, draw a ton of cards.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is, like, I don't think I had a real way to get to draw the cards. So I think it was just game for me, but it's good to know for in the future.
Yeah. Cool. But anyways, now with that triggered effect resolving, we can move to cleanup step again and pass turn.
And now I'm going to bed.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.